Philip, how do you read this situation? I mean, Putin, it's just been announced as cancelled that phone conversation with Boris. That's now pushed back till tomorrow. Are we just going to be rattling his cage and inviting reprisals in the UK? Or do you think that some of the plans laid out today, such as sanctions going after the oligarchs, going after Russian banking systems and preventing exports, is that going to make Putin think again?
It's the one tool that will make Putin think again. His position is underpinned by all the oligarchs that are supporting him. And if they get hurt in a way that they don't have their billions to be able to spend the way they want to, then that is a real danger to him. So Putin will have that in the back of his mind. What he's doing with his diplomatic efforts at the moment is he's playing the international community. He's playing it extremely well so that he can get a message out to the international community that he has cooperated, but the international community has failed to live up to his reasonable requests. None of them are reasonable. But he's also playing it to his domestic audience so that he can say to his domestic audience, he's tried to be conciliatory to the West, but the West haven't given in and they're just aggressive and they want to attack Russia. And threaten Russia for the rest of their lives. So he has to do something about it. And he's having some real successes. You mentioned Germany, but it's Germany and Hungary are the two countries that have effectively split away from a wider EU support. He's now undermined any hope of the EU coming together in some form of defence pact in the future. He's putting pressure on Ireland with naval exercises 275 miles off the Cork coast, which is an open flank to the EU, and NATO is going to have to look at that. Putin's playing a very, very clever game at the moment.
Yeah, and he seems to know exactly how to divide and conquer. I mean, some of his demands are things such as rolling back NATO and giving a hard and fast guarantee that Ukraine will never join. Clearly, those are things that the West are not going to have any truck with.
Well, exactly, and he knows that. So he's playing an information game. But the information game is aimed at two audiences. There's the international audience. Does he care about it? Not really. He just wants to go through the diplomatic efforts to give him more time to get his preparations in place, to allow him to make a decision. He hasn't made the final decision to go into Ukraine yet, but it's getting closer and closer. But it's working to his domestic audience as well, to try and shore up his image as being this bare-chested, horse-riding leader who will look after Russian interests, because his ultimate goal, he would love to have the old USSR back under his presidency, where he's got Russia as a global power. His military budget is less than the UK's military budget. Combine that as a comparison to the whole of NATO's military budget, it's tiny, but he can still field huge numbers of troops that are out there. So he's testing us at the moment to work out just how far he can go, both diplomatically, politically within that, and then what his military options are. And he's sort of hedge betting those military options at the moment.
I mean, there are understandably some very twitchy countries near Russia. Poland, for example, have been saying that Germany have loaded Putin's pistol and he's now able to blackmail an entire continent with gas. The problem is he's been playing a long game and we've been allowing him to do it. How many options are we actually left with now? Because, yes, we can go after his oligarchs. Frankly, they've been running riot in London for the best part of 2 decades anyway. We can go after Russian banking, but Germany is uncomfortable with the idea of using the SWIFT system or excluding them from the SWIFT system to do that. So that feels rather toothless. We're talking about blocking exports to try and cripple Russian industry. But the whole time he's got his hands on the gas tap, then he really does have a trump card.
Putin's been playing this for a number of years. Remember, it was 2014 he annexed Crimea. He's playing the long game. And the headlines across all of the news channels today show where the UK's priorities are. Over Borisgate, actually, there's the potential for the third European war, leading to a third world war happening within a couple of weeks. If you take that into longer term consequences, that should be the number one story that's hitting everything at the moment, but it's not. So, Putin is absolutely loving this and loving what's going on at the moment and been able to play these political cracks in a different way, because he plays it from a long-term perspective. He plays it from an information perspective, first of all, an influence perspective, and that gives him his military options. And I think he's getting to the point where he's hoping that he can annex another part of Ukraine, probably eastern Ukraine, going a little bit further than Donbass, and move his military troops into there, and not the whole of Ukraine. And then the Western view of that will be, everyone will just go, phew, thank goodness he didn't invade the whole of Ukraine. He's only taken a little bit. We'll let him get away with that. And that's what he's trying to balance off at the moment.